Hey folks, it's Jang here from ultimaterc.com with my initial review of the team associated SC10 4x4. I say initial review because I am going to do another follow-up review style video later on down the line once I've had more time to run with this vehicle and really test out its long-term durability. For right now, I'm just going to kind of give you an overview of my initial thoughts of it after building it and running it for a little over 10 packs worth. Now, this is also not my first video about the SC10 4x4. This is a kit. It comes unbuilt, or at least mostly unbuilt. If you want to see what's inside the box when you first get it from the store or from online, wherever you get it from, check out my unboxing video. It's pretty quick. Just go through and show you what comes in here because there are some things that come pre-built. That out of the way, here is the built truck. If you want to see the actual process that I went through to build the truck, well, I've got a series of 5 build videos, and if you don't want to take that long to go through all of those, you can just check out the build thread on the short course forum at ultimaterc.com. The thread has 50 some odd photos in it showing you all of the major assemblies that I went through. Gives a few little tips in there that I figured out along the way. The end result is you get this truck. It is a 1/10 scale, roar legal, 4-wheel drive, electric short course truck. Does not come with any electronics, does not come with the motor. It features big bore aluminum shocks, and they have threaded bodies with bleed caps on them, and they also do have bladders in those shocks. It is a belt-driven drivetrain with a transverse or sideways mounted motor, and it features gearboxes at the front and the rear. So it actually has gear reduction at the ends of the truck, which allows you to have less stress on the belt itself. Now, one of the interesting features that it has with that belt drive system is what's called a clicker in the front. It's somewhat of a one-way sort of device where if you adjust it so, it will be loose when power is not applied, so the front wheels can actually freewheel when you're under braking, and it locks up when power is applied. So it gives you 4-wheel drive when you're giving it throttle, and when you're off the throttle, or if you are going into a turn and you have the brakes on, then the fronts will not have any drive or any connection directly to the motor whatsoever. That is an adjustable thing. You can lock it down for full time or 100% 4-wheel drive action to give you 4-wheel braking also. For really tight technical tracks where you have a lot of traction also, it may be useful to actually use that clicker setup to give you more steering. Now, the track where I run, NorCal Hobbies in Union City, California, well, at least at the time that I was running it, it was dry. It was during the week when they're just doing practice. And so I found that it actually did not need that clicker to be active. I ended up locking it down and it drove much better like that. I'm going to go ahead and show you a little bit of footage of actually driving this thing so you can get an idea of what it looks like on a track. Now, the default setup, if you build it exactly as they recommend according to the manual, was not very good. As a matter of fact, I would call it terrible. The suspension was way too soft, and the clicker with it set where they recommend is actually very, very, very loose. So even tapping the brakes just very slightly would cause the rear end to swap all the way 180 degrees around every single time. It also reduced braking in the air, so I wasn't able to bring the front end down. I ended up doing some suspension tweaks, which I will cover in a separate video. And without changing any parts, without spending any money other than getting another bottle of shock oil, I was able to dramatically improve the handling of the vehicle. The most noteworthy feature of the driving characteristics of this truck is oversteer. It has as much steering as you want and then some anywhere, under braking, under acceleration, or just at neutral throttle. This thing has an incredible amount of steering, more steering than I have been able to find in any other four-wheel drive vehicle that I've ever driven. The weight balance is a little bit rear of center, thanks to the placement of the motor, but it drives like the weight is centered to the front. Most tuning changes you'll see folks making will be to help remove some of that steering. But it's great to have an extra amount of steering because you can always take away. If you have a vehicle that starts out with a lot of push, that can be more of a problem. Balance in the air is absolutely great. It lands with whatever attitude that you ask for. Like I said, if you do have the front clicker loose, and you're only going to end up with rear braking, so that's going to take away a lot of your ability to bring the nose down in the air. But with it tightened down, it flies great. As with all short course trucks, the body is a parachute. It's just a huge amount of Lexan that's going to catch a lot of air underneath of it. So it's highly recommended that you cut out some spaces in the back of the body to actually give it some room for that air to escape. Now, once you do take out some areas of Lexan, that is of course going to weaken the body. So you will want to probably reinforce the body. You can use shoe glue and drywall tape, and I have a separate video explaining exactly how that's done. Overall, the handling of this vehicle is very good. I still need to do some more work to really get it tuned in to my track, start tearing into the diffs, changing out some diff oil. Stock diff oil is 3000 weight, which is very loose, and it has the same weight front and rear. The diffs do come pre-assembled though, so that's a nice thing that helps to get you on the road more quickly. But if you want to start out with a better setup, you will need to at least partially disassemble those to put in some different oil. Overall, I'm very satisfied with the truck so far, but the big question is it better than the Losi? The answer is that's still unknown. It may not be. The Losi actually has an advantage, a fundamental advantage over this truck in a certain way, especially its center of gravity. This vehicle uses an all-composite chassis. It is plastic. It is a 3-piece plastic tub. The Losi, on the other hand, uses a thick aluminum pan like a 1/8 scale buggy. That adds more weight to the Losi, but it also puts the center of gravity down much lower and allows you to drive it more like an 1/8 scale buggy. It's just not going to have as much roll. Durability, like I said, I've run just over 10 packs on it so far. Haven't broken anything on the vehicle. However, I did discover a problem that many users have been discovering with the pre-built shocks. There's a screw that actually holds down the piston onto the shaft. The shaft actually has an inner threading in the top of it, and that screw will back out. You will want to, again, disassemble when you're putting the whole vehicle together. Disassemble the pre-assembled shocks, get some of that oil out of there, clean out the top of the shaft, or better yet, disassemble it all together and completely clean the shaft and put a lot of really strong thread lock on that small screw to make sure that it doesn't back out. Other than that one problem though, nothing is broken so far. I have put it through a fair share of tumbles and bad landings while I was trying different things out. The belt is something that a lot of people have been worried about, even long before the vehicle was actually released to market. A lot of folks say you cannot use a belt on an off-road vehicle, you can only use a belt on an on-road vehicle. Well, when I tried to assemble the vehicle according to the instructions in the manual exactly, it has a belt tensioner in the front. It also has a belt tensioner back in the rear. I tried to assemble it with the tensioners set to where they tell you to put them, and it was just too tight. So I actually loosened up to the second most loose setting you can have on the belt, and it's still pretty firm. And you know what? After running it for 10 packs, it's still pretty firm. I've been able to see no wear on this thing whatsoever. And if you look in this video clip that I have here, where I'm looking at the belt system itself, you can see that there is very little even dust in there, and that's after driving for 10 packs on a dry, dusty track. Thankfully, they do give you a full set of coverings that go over the entire center drive train, and it keeps out most dirt and dust. Only really fine stuff can get in through very small little cracks. So overall, so far, I'm seeing absolutely no problems with the belt. I'm seeing more wear on the outdrives, the metal outdrives, which would be equivalent to wear that you'd be getting on a center shaft on a shaft-driven vehicle. Then I'm seeing wear on the belt. It may actually be possible that this belt would last longer than a shaft drive set of components. The clicker, like I said, doesn't work for me on a track that is dry and loose and doesn't have 100% traction, something that you would want to probably use only on a very, very, very high traction surface on a very technical track. But when you do loosen it up, it works exactly as designed. It's a quaint little thing, a couple pieces of plastic with a little sawtooth design on one side, but it does work very well and exactly as designed. Other things about the design of the vehicle, they do give you options for your front and rear pulleys for the belt. They give you an underdrive pulley and they give you an overdrive pulley. What those will do, by installing one at one end or the other at the other end, that'll actually allow the front tires to spin at a slightly different rate than the rears when under power. It'll either give you 105% wheel speed at the front compared to the rear, or 95% wheel speed at the front compared to the rear. That's a tuning option that has been used a little bit in on-road vehicles, and it's been used in the past many times with off-road 1/8 scale vehicles to just change the driving characteristics. So far I've been happy with the stock setup, which has no underdrive or no overdrive. It's the exact same wheel speed, rear and front, but it is nice that they designed in that extra tuning option for you. Now, as far as the fitment of electronics and the battery is concerned, they give you a very, very nice, huge space. The entire left side of the vehicle is the chassis is pretty much open for you to put in your speed control and your receiver. They do give you a dust resistant box to put your receiver in to keep it kind of out of some of the elements. They give you plenty of area with actually a shock absorbing ESC mount to help prevent your ESC from getting damaged from really hard landings. And there's plenty of space on there. A lot of 1/8 scale sized speed controls will actually fit in this. However, when it comes to motors, you are a little bit limited. A 540 sized motor will fit just fine. A Castle 1410 3800 kV motor will fit just fine. Something with a 65, 68 millimeter can length will work just fine. What won't fit, however, not without a little bit of modification, is the very common Novak HV or Ballistic 550 series motors. Again, I have another video talking about the modifications that you need to make to squeeze one of those in here. It is possible to fit, but it does require a little bit of modification. Also, 1/8 scale motors, some places around the country run an open set of rules for the 4-wheel drive short course truck class, and folks there might run literally 1/8 scale motors, large diameter, very long cans. That's just pretty much out of the question with this vehicle, unfortunately. It'll fit up to the Novak 550, but anything larger than that, you're going to need to do a lot of customization and at the very least a lot of dremeling of the chassis to open up a lot of space on the length. The diameter, they are really designed to take just a standard 36 millimeter diameter of can, and there's very little extra room in there, very little extra tolerance, so you're not going to fit a 42 millimeter diameter can in there. Also, batteries, the battery tray will accept a standard ROAR approved, standard size 7.4 volt LiPo pack hard case, and that's it. Anything other than a 2-cell LiPo is going to be a tight squeeze. So if you want to run in an open motor, open battery class, I don't think this is going to be the ideal vehicle for you. All in all, cool truck so far. Handles well once you put some energy into actually tuning it up a little bit. Don't have any complaints about durability so far. The belt system that a lot of folks were worried about seems to be working out all right. Haven't broken any parts. Everything seems to be pretty durable, except for maybe the body. Body's a little bit flimsy. But Team Associated SC10 4x4, it's a completely new design. It's ground up. It's nothing like anything that's out there on the market. Jury is still out as to whether it is going to be a better vehicle overall than the LC10 SC10E, the direct competitor to this vehicle. But it's, as far as comparing it to the older race style vehicles, the smaller ones from Offna and Jamin, this is a larger vehicle. It's a lot more stable. It's more smooth, to be sure. If you want to compare it to the Slash 4x4, don't. There's no comparison between this and a Slash 4x4. This is a true race vehicle, and it will be able to win races or get you very close to the front of the pack. It's really going to depend upon the ability of a given driver to tune the vehicle and then to get it around the track. As I said in the opening segment, I will be doing another follow-on review about this vehicle once I put a bunch more packs through it and have a little bit more time to tune it up even better and hopefully get some actual race experience with this vehicle against the LOCs directly, using similar amounts of power being put through the vehicle. I will also be looking for anything that breaks long term. I'll be looking at the durability of that belt longer term. And already on my channel, you can find just raw, unedited driving videos of this vehicle in practice. And you'll certainly be seeing more of those as time goes along. So I hope this was a useful initial review and overview of the Team Associated SC10 4x4 electric short course truck. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you want to see more unbiased, unpaid reviews of RC related products, and I hope to see you on the friendly forums at ultimaterc.com. Take care. I'll see you next time.